Yes. Yeah.
But like the comparison, like with me and some of the other guys.
So that'd be something neat to see, the Harris Centers
The Pirates playing in Williams.
Welcome to Not a Sports Podcast, episode 44, the home of sports talk for everyone. I'm David.
I'm Jason.
Welcome aboard. Now, Jason, this is going to be a fun one for you. Our first period's going to be a fun one.
Well, I think we have we got a few things we got to talk about here quick. As we're recording, first off, congrats to Matt from the A Show. His Mets beat my beloved Philadelphia Phillies with a combined no-hitter. It was their first, I believe you said it's their first no-hitter combined no-hitter in team history.
Yes, from what I was listening to, yes.
Oh, Tom McCarthy for the Phils said it was their first combined no-hitter. Well, congrats to Matt from the A Show and his beloved, amazing Mets. Even a blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then. We've gone over my respective Mets fans, so I'm sure just a little joking around is not going to hurt anything.
Well, they're just as bad as Philly fans at times.
I don't look at it as bad. I think they've suffered through a lot of really bad seasons like Phillies fans.
Well, like just as bad.
It's you earn your stripes as a fan and for that team, just like you do as a Phillies fan. And as we're recording, the NFL draft is on its second day. Locally for us here in Pennsylvania, the big news is the Eagles made a heck of a trade with the Titans to get A.J. Brown. That's going to boost their team for next season, hopefully, and the Philadelphia curse does not hit him like it's hitting Kyle Schwarber right now for the Phils. I think he went into tonight's game with a .164 batting average, so that's what we're paying big bucks for right now. But yeah, let's get on to the first period.
Well, just to go back to the Philadelphia curse here, that's just any sport on that one. You go to Philly to end your career.
You're not making this any better.
Huh?
You're not making this any better.
I know, but it's just how it is, though, because a lot of the big names coming out of Philly, whether it be Eagles, 76ers, Flyers, Phillies, it seems like the big names want to come to play for Philly, but it's like they hit the injury bug.
So what's interesting with the whole A.J. Brown trade is he wasn't expecting to leave. He wanted to stay in Tennessee, and Tennessee wanted to unload him. But I'm reading that Eagles fans are considering this the equivalent to when the Phillies got Roy Halladay.
Okay.
That is a lofty aspiration.
Yes, because Roy Halladay was a huge pickup for Philly.
Even though they did not win a World Series with him, Doc went down to he finished his career there. He's gone down to be a legend with the Phils, beloved pitcher, beloved personality.
I mean, hell of a pitcher. I mean, how many perfect games has he thrown?
I don't know off the top of my head, but that 2010 year was absolutely spectacular for him. I did have that perfect game on my PS3, so.
What did he throw? Now it's bugging me. Now it's bugging me on how many he's actually had. Now it's bugging
He pitched a perfect game on May 29th, 2010. That was against the Florida Marlins, as they were known then. And then he pitched a postseason no-hitter on October 6th, 2010. And he went in 2019 with 85.4% of the votes as a first ballot Hall of Famer, which makes a lot of sense.
Yep, that definitely does make a lot of sense on that one because, well, what he is. I mean, he was a hell of a pitcher.
He was. That he was.
Doesn't his son still play for Penn State?
I don't know off the top of my head. I know he was playing for Penn State.
I thought he was. I thought he still was. I saw.
And I think he went to Penn State specifically to more so for an education than the baseball experience, which says a lot about him as an individual. He wanted to get a good education.
Yeah. And see here, in 2019, he was drafted by MLB. As a tribute to Halladay, he was selected by the Blue Jays in the 32nd round.
Yeah, I don't know where he's at now. I'm just seeing everything up until transfer from Penn State to, hold on here. We're really starting off on a roll. He decided to leave the Nittany Lions to play for Tallahassee Community College. So he's closer to his where he grew up in Odessa, Florida. So that makes sense. Good for him. But let's move on and let's start the first period since we're already a few minutes in.
Hey, it's baseball talk. Might as well keep going with it. So as a lot of people know, this past, 2 weeks now, a lot of bad pitching calls. Some right down the middle called balls, some way off the plate called strikes.
So this is going to be the Angel Hernandez segment of the show.
This could be, pretty much. Because we all know how a great umpire he is.
So one of the interesting figures about Angel Hernandez as an umpire is that the league average in performance is a 94% performance rate from an umpire. So you would consider that an A grade. Angel Hernandez is an 83% average umpire.
I thought it'd be a lot lower.
Well, for the Phillies game on Sunday night, he was at a 77%.
Again, a lot lower.
He's such a bad umpire that MLB has told the umpires union that Angel will never be involved in a World Series game.
Good. I mean, he's just as bad as Joe West. What? He kind of had that look there, like, But I mean, What?
No, Joe West is pretty awful too. I was thinking of Jim Joyce because Jim Joyce is the one who ruined Armando Galarraga's near perfect game, but he apologized for his mistake that cost that near perfect game. He owned his mistake, and that says a lot about him.
Made a mistake. He apologized, and because that was a big blown call for that moment.
West and Hernandez just
flat out
they don't care. They don't care.
Get their paychecks and move on. So, what would you think if next year MLB decides we're going with the automated strike zone?
I mean, if it's gonna, the whole idea of it moving to or even being implemented is to make the game quicker. There's still a role. There's still a role for an umpire in baseball. There is. I think the automated strike zone's going to help with controversial calls. It's going to prevent an Angel Hernandez from taking a game away from, in the case of the Brewers and the Phils, both teams.
Oh yeah, that was both teams getting screwed by him.
Because the Brewers won in spite of him. Let's be honest. It had nothing to do with the Phils, and it had nothing to do with the Brewers' performance. It was the Angel Hernandez show, and it was on national television.
That part, I think, really kind of, I guess for me, that was a topic that I think that we, as we are now bringing up after watching that game. Because when you see a pitch outside the strike zone, as they said, the biggest difference between strike zone and off the plate was 6.5 inches from what I was reading and also listening to.
That's what she said anyway.
Right? Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I figured it would. Yeah, set you up for it. But when you watch the game and you see strikes being called that are nearly impossible to hit because they're either that inside or that away from the plate, and then you got balls being called in the strike zone. To me, and the sad part is not just Angel Hernandez, because I was watching videos this whole week of the same thing. Balls being called basically, well below the strike zone or well outside from other umps.
There's a great John Boy breakdown of this whole situation. So you brought up the robot umpire. Well, once you know who won the pony, Joe West has opinions on the automated umpires in strike zone. And I quote,
Oh,
The
no.
problem with robotic umpires is it's not as accurate as they're making it out to be. They grade these major league umpires on every pitch they call. They grade them with a triangulation of scopes, so they can tell if the ball's over the plate, low, high, what have you. Each umpire is graded, given a score at the end of the game. We don't have an umpire, and haven't for the last 4 years, who scored less than 95%. Robotic umpires they're using, they've proven it misses 7% of pitches. When the robotic umpire misses a pitch, it doesn't call anything. And when the umpire calls a pitch, he still calls something. So believe me, if they thought they could put a machine back there, they'd call all the pitches. They would have done it by now.
Coming from somebody who missed how many calls right in front of him?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, not just behind the plate, but at the bases. How many calls did he miss even at the bases? Let's take away the strike zone part here and just go with him at the bases. How much did he miss? I remember the one game, I forget who it was. I think it was with the Yankees. Angel Hernandez got 4 or 5 calls reversed because the teams reviewed it.
So he's complaining about the automated strike zone missing 7% of pitches. Yet Angel Hernandez' performance on Sunday missed 23% of pitches.
I'd rather go with the 7%.
I'd rather go with the 7% too. And if worst case scenario you need to replay a pitch, so be it. I'd rather take the controversial calls on strikes and balls out of the equation, because like a Hernandez, like a West, they can take the game out of a team's hand due to willful incompetence or just straight up ignorance.
Yeah, I mean, well, like you said, if they would say, okay, well, like in the articles here, if the robot misses a pitch, nothing's called. Okay, well, just redo the pitch. I know they're going to say, well, if they have to keep redoing the pitches, the pitching count's going to go higher.
Right.
And that could
you're
and that could wear
the arm of the pitcher
exactly.
and so forth.
So at that point, that's a double-edged sword, because yes, you want to see the controversial taken out of the game from the pitch, but that's also going to wear on the pitcher.
Right.
Because let's say one batter, it could be a battle, between the pitcher and the batter, constantly hitting foul balls and all that, just trying to get that part. But how many calls may be missed that the pitcher has to throw more? That's an advantage towards the batter.
And here's how I look at it. I think the automated strike zone is more or less a safety net. It's going to be used in conjunction with a home plate umpire to prevent controversial balls and strikes.
Like from what I was reading, they said that it's going to be all like radioed down to them.
You're right.
I guess as soon as a call hits, it's going to be relayed down to the ump. But the question is, how fast is it going to get there? Because we're so used to seeing a pitch and then the call, whether it be strike, ball, or what have you.
As someone who, I went to a Barnstormers game last year, and it seemed to be very quick. It didn't seem like it took any longer than a normal call. My biggest thing is there's still going to be a need for a home plate umpire. The automated strike zone isn't going to be able to call someone safer out on a close play at home.
Oh yeah. You're not going to have, the Terminator behind the home plate there, calling, you're out, you're safe.
I'll be back. Get to the dugout. Okay, I'm done.
And he's gone. We just lost Jason here.
No, I'm here.
Yeah, okay. I mean, like I said, it's a double-edged sword on this whole thing, because
I don't think it's a double-edged sword. I think it's a great idea.
Well, I say it's a double-edged sword because you have, if they go with, if nothing's called, let's say they redo the pitch. Okay, great. Like you just said, take out the controversial part. But like we just said, the pitcher is worked more, gets more worn down.
And here's the thing: if it misses 7% of the pitches, there's still a home plate umpire. The home plate umpire still has to pay attention.
That's the thing, though. If, let's say, it's a ball, he calls it a strike. Because if the automated pitcher, or I'm sorry, the automated ump misses that call as a ball, then he calls it a strike. Right there's a controversial of it.
Well, no, the idea is that those 7% that it misses, it's not registering the pitch. That's what was being said. So it's actually missing 7% of the pitches. It just doesn't recognize it.
Now that just popped in my head is how, is it being missed as the strike zone? It's outside the strike zone being missed? Or is it so far out of the strike zone that it's being missed that it's not recording, like, let's say, pass ball?
I'm thinking it's more like the catcher's glove could be in the way. There could be obstruction because the batter stopped short on his swing to prevent going through fully to get a strike.
Check swing.
Yeah, I think it's more those kind of situations where there would be an issue, and that's why you still have a human umpire behind home plate, because if it does miss, you still have someone there who can make a call. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, and all this really comes down to is to prevent Angel Hernandez from screwing games. I mean, that's...
Or winning games for the other team.
And I mean, we got to talk about it. Kyle Schwarber getting ejected from that game was a thing of beauty.
Well, the thing is, though, he actually made good points for both sides. For both teams.
Here.
Yeah, he's
just both sides.
I mean, he was animated, that's for sure. He was...
But that's what you want. That's what you want from someone getting tossed.
Well, yeah.
You want it to be a spectacle.
And the thing is, I mean, he was just waving his arms like crazy, but the thing is, though, he was right. And it just got to a point where he just got that upset about it, which is who blames him for it? Because it was happening to both sides. It wasn't like it was happening to one side or the other. Yeah, and
it's one of the few ejections where the person getting ejected was doing it on behalf of both teams.
Normally you don't see that. Not just him, but it was both sides.
God bless John Boy for doing the lip reading to figure out what these players are saying when there's a situation.
That is comical.
It's just bad, Angel. You got to do better. It's just bad. Joe Girardi saying that to him.
And the thing is, though, it is bad.
He should not be calling professional baseball games at this point.
No,
when you're 10% below the league average, I don't care if it would be considered a B grade. You're 10% below the league average. Get out. You're not even allowed to be near the World Series. You're that bad. Get out.
That's pretty bad. I mean, he's probably not even able to be in a playoff game at that point.
That I just know World Series. I don't know about playoffs, and I haven't looked that far into it because him not being able to call the World Series also affects the crew that because they don't switch out the umps for different crews. So him and the other three umpires, that's a crew. So those other three guys can't call a World Series because of Angel. And
that's not fair to them because
that's not fair to them.
Fantastic umps. They could be fantastic umps, and you got him.
Yep.
I mean, I think after this, because like I said, we've been seeing it a lot. Who knows if maybe next year we'll see it up in maybe spring training to start with.
That would be cool. I think, going to spring training kind of dips the toes into it.
I mean, not have it for the actual games quite yet, but have spring training to maybe work out the bugs to see how it will affect in Major League. Now, like we said, they are testing it in the minors right now, but maybe doing spring training first, seeing how it plays out, and then maybe the following year push it, or maybe have some games throughout the season just to kind of, or maybe the All-Star, maybe put it in at the All-Star game.
I think that's really too big of a...
nobody watches it anyways.
I watch it.
Okay.
I watch it religiously every year. Put it on a Reds game. They're the worst team in baseball. No one's watching them.
There you go. But the All-Star game for baseball, I used to be able to watch it, but now it's like I just can't for some reason.
It is not a visually, aesthetically pleasing game because everyone's wearing their jerseys, like their team jerseys, and it's off-putting visually. They should just they have those batting practice jerseys that they sell for each team, for each league, the American and National. Have them wear those.
Then I could probably get into it more, just because
don't muddy the waters here.
Then I could probably watch it just because that's what a lot of All-Star games go to, where it's either AL, NL, East, West, AFC, NFC. They have jerseys for those things.
For the record, as of the time we're recording, which is at 11:05 on April 29th, the Reds are so bad they are 3-16.
Ooh. Okay, yeah, that's pretty bad.
Yeah. So.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't think I take it they're the last place right now?
Well, there's no one worse than them in Ola baseball.
Okay. I didn't know if that was for...
There's a few teams that are like 6 and something, but no one is as bad as them.
Yeah, 3-16, that is pretty bad. Because the next one is 6-13, 6-12, and Baltimore 6-14.
Hey, I have some O's on my fantasy team, and they are delivering for me. So
at least for you and not their team.
There are some bright spots.
But anywho, yeah, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't put it past MLB to put the automated strike zone in spring training. I
think that's a good way to, like I said, dip the toes in the pool and go from there. And I think it's a good idea they're doing it because there's been too many issues already this season and in previous seasons.
Yes, especially this past week with our most favorite ump. I should say your most favorite ump.
Oh, it doesn't bother me. I mean, everyone knows he's awful. Every fan in baseball knows he's awful, and dreads having him call the game. So
yeah, everybody has their favorite umps and refs and all that. That as soon as they hear the name, they're just like, "Oh crap." So on that note, that'd be the end of first period. We'll be right back after a short break.
For listeners of the Non There to Sports podcast, if you visit fansidea.com and use the code NASPOD at checkout, that is NASPOD at checkout, you will get 10% off your order. Fansidea.com is the place to go for custom-made jerseys, hoodies, shirts, and other gear. It's the perfect product, perfectly stitched, perfect sublimation, and perfect embroidery. 100% handmade and delivered on time. That's certainty, and it's their promise to you. Again, use the code NASPOD, NASPOD, at checkout for 10% off your order. And I'm not just talking about this because they're a sponsor for the show. I was a customer first. I bought this NASPOD sublimated jersey, if you will, before I even reached out to them to be a sponsor on the show because I like the product so much. David, up above me here or beside me, depending on how you view your YouTube, he's got a really nicely stitched, Flyers-inspired NASPOD hockey jersey. They do great work, and we support them. They support us, and we want you to enjoy their product as well. Again, NASPOD at checkout at fansidea.com.